Hi everyone, and welcome to the Big Bonding Brush with C and K. That's me, Chrissy Noel Kinslow. And today, without further ado, we're going to paint The Two Fridas by Frida Kahlo. And we just finished the two Fridas in the miniature masterpiece. And now we're going to go big with the big bonding brush. So let's get started. First thing, I'm not going to be playing any music, so you can set whatever music you want in the background. Do that. And then you're going to need a variety of paint brushes. I always have a big flat brush, couple of flat brushes, and a smaller flat brush. And then I have a variety of little brushes, little round brushes to be technically correct. I have my water. I have a lot of napkins and napkins right here ready to go. I have my palette, which I use a piece of glass, and then every now and again I let my grandkids peel the glass off. It's really fun. They love it. And then we're working with acrylic paint, and I have a variety of colors. I have white, I have a terracotta brown, I have a red, a yellow, an orange, a couple different blues, and then a burnt umber. Okay, so that's what I'm working with, and without further ado, let's get crack-lacking with Frida Kahlo's The Two Fridas, 1939. So here we go. Okay, the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of do a sketched out line of the two figures, and we're going to start by making a really light blue. I'm going to come over here. So we got our white. Mix it up real good. Get our white on there. A little bit of this blue. And I use all sorts of brands. Ah! That was fun. Clean up on our Chrissy. See? That's why we have these. There we go. All good. All good. It's the beauty of an art studio is it gets painted. And it's okay. So I have my white and my blue, and I'm just gonna bring a little bit of that blue over into my white and mix up a really light blue. We're going to sketch out the two Fridas, and most of this light blue is going to be covered up with more paint. So we've got that mixed up. So it's a nice light blue, which will also do some incorporating. So now I'm gonna put my paintbrush back in the water. All right, so I'm picking up my finest brush, and paintbrushes like to be wet, but not dripping, so I always wet them off. And then when I try to get a really fine point, I don't know if you should try this at home, but I always kind of lick it a little bit, get it going. Okay, here we go. So let's pick up a little bit of that light blue, and they are placed center. We want to make sure that we're proportionally correct, so that's why we're doing this right now. Let's get the first Frida. Let's get her head in there. And it's just an oval. Yeah. And then let's get the other Frida's head in there. Whoop. Pick up some paint. That'd be helpful. And get that other oval in there. We'll shape those more as we go along. And I'm looking like I'm a little lopsided here, so I'm just gonna fix that right off the get-go. Like I said, it's kind of just a sketch, you know. Bring that head down a little bit more. Okay, there we go. So let's work on this Frida. Now, so there's two Fridas, and this Frida represents the Mexican Frida, and this Frida represents the European Frida. So we'll refer to them as that from here on out. So let's work on the European Frida's shoulders. She's got a neck here, right? And then her shoulder comes over. And again, we're gonna go along here and fix whatever we don't like. But it's also about embracing our imperfections too, you know? So here's about where her arm goes, I'm imagining. And then her little hand coming out here, holding forceps. And we're just going to, you know, put in a shape. We're not going to work on the details of the hand right now, okay? So there's that. There's her hand. Come on over here with her skirt. Got a little hump there where her bum's sitting on the bench. Come on down. And almost to the bottom. I'm going to just do a little swoop-de-shoo where her skirt is. There we go. Great. And then the other part of her shoulder, like so, comes out a bit. Her bodice. And other part of her knee coming down and connecting to her skirt. There we go. And then working on her other sleeve. And her hand comes over and she's holding the European Frida is holding the hand of the Mexican Frida, who's heartbroken and has gone through a lot for sure. Both have, but so we're just gonna kind of figure it out. There's where the other Frida's, the Mexican Frida's hand is right there. Let's bring that arm up. Now we're working on Mexican Frida. And over. Bringing her shoulder up. To her neck. Her shoulder down to her arm, which is placed on her lap. And again, we're just doing kind of the shape. We'll go in with the details here in a bit. There's her arm. And she's holding a little tiny portrait of her now ex-husband, Diego Rivera. So on one hand, she's holding forceps on the European side, and the Mexican side, she's holding a little self-portrait, or little portrait. I don't know if it's a self-portrait. Okay, finishing with her skirt, coming down here, touching the other skirt, and then along the bottom, wiggle lines, wiggle lines. Okay. And there's that. Excellent. So we've got the background line. And always paint my paintings. I wrap them all the way around. So we're going to continue that. And let's take a measure that. So we're that high right here. We're going to go over to the other side and we're going to go that high as well. Excellent. Again, wrapping around the side and bring that straight on over. Good deal. Okay, we'll throw this here little bench in, just goes right here, straight down, over, maybe up a little higher. There we go. And then comes behind the hands about right here. That's for the benches. Good deal. Yeah. All right. So now that we've got that all laid out, we're going to start filling it in. Let's get rid of that little paintbrush. And I do realize that my canvas is bigger than the painting, so we're gonna have a little bit extra floor, a little bit of extra sky on the background, and that's just fine. I'm gonna twist your brain for a second, and like I said, I like to paint all the way around, so I'm gonna turn it upside down because the first thing that we're gonna work on is our floor. So let's get a little bit of that terracotta. Yeah, let's do some terracotta. Whoa, it hasn't even opened yet. Craziness. Okay, so get a little bit of that terracotta, and you have some white. You should have some white on your palette. So just put your terracotta. This could possibly spooge everywhere. Oh, okay. Oh, good job, Kinslow. A little bit of brown. Whoa. Or a lot, whatever your paint decides. We'll use some of that terracotta in Frida's skirt as well, Mexican Frida's skirt. But let's start by taking another one of your big brushes or your original brush, get it wet, and I'm gonna mix up some white with my brown. Watch out, kitty. My kitty. Actually, I'll show you. This is my kitty. Oh, this is Frida. Well, Frido. He was Frida until I took her to get him to get fixed, and the vet told me that Frida was a boy, and so now his name is Frido. Yeah, that's how my life goes. Okay, so here we go. We're going to take, I have this brown, and I'll show you my brush. It's not fully and completely mixed, so we're going to kind of blend it on the canvas. All right, here we go. Okay. We're going to start at the very top. Get the top painted very first, so that as soon as we get some of this brown down, we can flip it back to normal. Okay, so there's the top, and I'm going to go all the way to where I marked where the floor begins, on the sides and on this side. Hopefully my head's not in the way. All right, there's that. And now we're going to fill in this whole area right here where the floor is. And we'll do some darker shading here along the top of the floor. But for now, we're just gonna get this all painted in here. So be aware where the side of your dress is going to be. And the bottom as well. You can switch out a brush if you choose. I'm going to stick with this brush for right now. But at any point, switch out whatever brush you want. I'm going to make sure and get some swerve in there, some curve to the bottom of her skirt. And here. A little swerve and curve to the bottom of the skirt. You don't want it to be totally straight. Okay. And then up to where the bench is. And yeah, get that floor painted in. Excellent. And then I'm just going to pick up some of the pure terracotta right there on my same dirty brush. And I'm going to go all along the edge here. Kind of brushing it upwards, which when we flip it will be downwards. So we just want a little darker hue. And just make sure you go around. We're going to pick up some black as well. Around the sides. Picking up a little more of that terracotta. And brushing it up. Blending it. Okay. Excellent. I'm going to move to a little bit smaller of a brush. And, oh, I haven't given myself any black yet. I'm going to give ourselves a little bit of black. Shake it up real good. Shake it up, baby. That cap off there. And a little bit of black. You'll be using it throughout. I'm going to mix a little bit of brown with, well, more brown than black. I want to make it dark. That's how much black I have. Just a little tiny bit. I'm going to mix that up real good to see just how dark I have it. See whether I need more black or more brown. And I'm actually quite happy with that color. There it is. And so I'm going to go along here. I'm going to go along the edge. That darker color. Around the edges. Don't forget your edges. Ooh, hi. It's a nice black spot I just put there. That's okay. Yep, it's all about embracing the imperfections. And the beautiful thing is that sky is very dark. So we'll just work with that black spot. It was meant to be. Okay, so I have this, but it's not very blended, so I'm going to go through, clean off my brush, wipe it off, and then come back and do a little blending. Making that top darker. Again on the sides. And over here. To the edges. There we go. Looking good. I want an even better blend than that. So I'm picking up my big brush. Kind of got it cleaned for the most part. And I'm wiping it off. And I'm just bringing it, blending it just a little more. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Right? Good stuff. Right on, right on. Okay, so let's fill the top. Are we dry? I'm mostly dry. So you can pause and let it finish drying. And when it's dry, then we'll flip it. So I'm pretty dry. I'm gonna flip it. Flip it back over. Excellent. Okay, now I can take a look, a little better look-see at what's going on. And I'm going to do a little touch-up over here. Just adding a little more of that light brown to get rid of some of our brush strokes, or not really brush strokes, but canvas. I'm a stickler for not seeing canvas. I like when we're done, every bit of this canvas is going to be covered, including the parts that are white. If you've been with me before, you'll know that even if it's white, we paint it white because we're crazy like that. Yeah. All right, just getting everything touched up, looking at those ripples on the dress, seeing maybe a little more ripple action. So I'm going to go along here and do that. And then also when you go to your next color, you can do that as well. Let's see, this comes up a little bit more of an angle. Yeah, get some nice folds in there. Excellent. Come on over here. Ooh, picked up some blue somewhere along the lines. There we go. Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm thinking it's looking pretty good. And that it is time to move on to the next step. All right, so let's do this sky. Let's get the sky out of the way, and then we'll go into the Fridas. So what we'll need for the sky is the light blue and the white and the black that we've already started using. So the thought about the sky when I did the miniature one is that you just don't want to think about it too much. Your sky is going to be different than Frida's sky. But the gist is that we get and we do some mushing and some squishing and some morphing around with our colors. Let's start with a little bit of that light blue. So we got some, see how I'm just kind of squishing and morphing. And we're going to make sure and go and cover the top as well. Just that. Squished and morphed. We'll save that spot for a black spot, dark spot. Yep. Let me pick up a little more white. So I want to do just whites and blues, and then we'll start picking up some grays, and we can go right up. We're going to do Frida's face. So just go right up to where she is, and if you go up and over a little bit, that's okie dokie, because we're going to be painting it in layers, and it's going to be fine. So I just picked up a little bit of the darker blue. I'm going to get some of that in there too. Let's get some of that. Let's get some, make sure we go around the sides. Get real morphy, swishy, swishy. Some of that dark. Make sure that whenever you put it on there, that you get it blended in. There we go. Bring some of that over there, around to the top. Come around the edges. Just gonna keep layering until we love our sky. And that's okay if you use a lot of paint. It will dry before we come back to the sky area. We will, it'll be completely dry. The only time we will be coming back to the sky area really is to do that cord that goes from Mexican Frida's heart to European Frida's heart. Morph it around, swish it. Maybe if you have a big old round brush, or like a crappy kid's brush, that would work really nice. Make sure you keep that line along here nice and crisp, right? And don't forget your sides. So last painting, big bonding brush painting party that we had, I had decided that if you want to turn this into a drinking game, you can. Every time I say, don't forget your sides, you take a drink. But then you also don't forget your sides. I don't know. Something to think about. Okay. You know, you could really do the two Fridas with any sky. And then for that matter, oh, my brain just went there. You could do your own self-portrait, Frida style. This is a double self-portrait, by the way. Crazy. You could do that with your own self and do your own sky. Okay, we're getting this canvas covered. That's what we're gonna do. And then we're gonna go through, we're gonna get some dark in there, some more light in there, the sky, you know, and really you could work on the sky forever. And so let's get in here. Let's make sure we get in here, and don't worry about painting over where the hands are going to be, because we'll go through with a darker color. I just really want you to make sure and get that blue of the sky in there. Okay, so that's swishy. Some more white. I like to use a lot of paint. I'm not afraid to use it. Just get it on there. The beauty of acrylic is that it dries so fast. Okay, let me check my top. I gotta get a little more paint up in there to make sure that my whole canvas is covered. Oh yeah, looking good. Excellent. And around the sides, while I'm sitting here thinking about it, and let's start getting that black covered. Oh, hello, black. You just disappeared. Told you. So when you make a mistake, that was clearly a mistake. With acrylic, you just don't try to fix it. You're just going to make a big mess. What you need to do is just back off, give it a second, let it dry, and then come back and paint over it. It might take a couple layers to cover over that black, but again, we do have a beautiful situation in that the sky has black in it. If it didn't, then we would certainly have to do several layers of the same color on top of it, but we could get it covered. Anyway, there's my sky. Of course, you're not gonna, you might be painting as quick as I am, but that's the beauty of these videos, is that you can pause and play at your own convenience. Also, if you are enjoying yourself, I'd really appreciate you to subscribe, like, and share these videos. This is a free service, and you can actually host your own paint parties in your house, especially during this terrible time. Okay, are you ready? We're gonna pick up a little bit of the black. See that? Ooh, tiny, teeny bit. And I'm gonna pick different areas. So I'm gonna come over here with it, and then up there, and over here, and there's a big old area over here. And then I'm just gonna pounce that all in, morph it all in. If I have too much paint, I'm gonna be like, okay, I can get rid of some of that paint over here. Awesome. And then I'll go back over here and pick up some of this paint. Bring it over here. Don't forget the top. Okay, let's make the sky dark. Oh, there's Frida. Frida. I always call him Frida as well. Ooh, that's a lot of black. Some black over here, some black over here, some black over here. Bring some more black in here. A little bit. Another tool that's really, really nice to use is a sponge brush. Sponge brushes are really fun. They're super nice. So if you're not getting the blend that you want, or you're getting too much of like a pattern from your paintbrush, just go in, get it wet a little bit. Don't clean it off. Tamp it off a little bit on your paper towel, and then go in and you'll see, get it a little bit wet. Those acrylics, they like to be a little wet, not drenched, but a little wet. You can also show you another little trick of the trade. Here is, I have just a dry brush. You can go along with just a dry brush and see how it just softened all that up, all those edges. It just softens it. It's picking up some of that excess paint. And you want to wipe it off every now and again. Get that paint off. Go back and do some softening it. Yeah, so you could work on this sky forever and a day, but we're going to work on it just a little bit longer and then move along. You are welcome to work on it as much as you want, but for time's sake, so that we don't do a 5-hour video, we're going to work quickly. Okay, so you can also, if you feel like any of your spots have gotten too dark, which I actually want to do some more dark, but you can bring some white on top of that as well. Let's do that. Let's just pick up some white, and you can go over those dark spots and lighten them up. I just really want to darken up anything that's bright and poppy. Needs to be darkened. This is dark sky. Don't forget your edges. Get rid of all that light blue. I'm just mixing. My paintbrush has black, blue, and white on it. Let's get it wet. There we go. Really got to darken up this sky. Layers and layers. Feeling darker. Get some white in there. White. Right, let's pick up a little black. More black. It's like there's like a black cloud connecting them and then coming up here. Yeah. More black over here. Shoulder. All right. Let's do a little swishing with our dry brush again. We'll get it's not completely dry anymore. Let's get it completely cleaned off. Get rid of all that paint. Some swishing. Blending. All right. So I'm gonna add got just a little bit of white here and there. A little cloud. A little teeny bit. Here. And there. And here. It's a little bright down in between their hands. A little bit of darkness down there. Here. All right. So we could just keep on painting the sky, but we need to move along. So let's do that. Okay, so we're gonna start working on the two Fridas, and we're gonna start with getting their arms and hands and faces and shoulders and all of their skin tones in place. You should have a nice brown terracotta mixed up. What I'm going to do is take a little bit of my orange, get it nice and mixed up. I'm going to put it next to my brown. Ooh, paint really likes it. Well, we're going to be using that orange later on something else too. So, no worries. And then a little more white. And we're going to look to mix up a skin tone. And so I'm going to take a little bit of brown, terracotta, a little bit of white, mix that up, bring a little bit of orange into it. And I'm going to mix it. I want to get a light skin tone because I'm going to use a couple different skin tones on her skin. So I want to make a darker and then a lighter version. And I like that darker version. So I'm going to take and mix that with a little bit of white off to the side. So I'm just going to I am gradually bringing some of that darker skin tone over into some white. So it's mostly white until I get the color that I'm wanting, which I am really, really close. Got the hiccups. All right. So there's my lighter version. See? So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to start masking in her skin. Starting with the European Frida. And we're going to, don't worry about her hair. You're going to do a complete oval as though she were bald. And then we'll just go through and put her hair on. So let's get her face in, and then she also has over here, make sure, let's get that, her ear. Let's get that in there. Be careful. You don't want a huge ear. Okay. And then her dress attire goes all the way up to her neck. So we're good with that. Let's go down to her hand. And once this is dry, we'll go through and do the details. So get the arm in there. And little hand goes up. It all comes to a point. little fingers. And we can put some detail in when we do her skirt. But try to get as close as you can. So there's that. There's one arm. Let's do the other arm. Go. Get over. And then her hand comes down. Let's get the basic shape in there. There we go. There we are. So there's two arms. And you can see a little bit of the blue coming through behind, but that's okay. We're going to go through that darker. We're going to do some highlights. We're going to go through with another layer. So let's move on to the Mexican Frida. And let's make sure that her face and her head is at the same height that the other European Frida's head is. There we go. Awesome. Get that filled in. And her ear is here. And then the beginning of her neck comes down. Her shoulder comes over. We're just going to bring that over like that. And then front of her neck, her shoulder, she has a long neck. And then this is a scoop. She's wearing a traditional Mexican attire. Let's get her arms in there. So I'm going to start down here with her hand. And then she has a little thumb out there. Beep. Her arm goes from narrow to a little bit wider. Get that hand mark in there so you can see the hand, elbow on up. There we are. To the sleeve of her dress. And let's do the other side. So her fingers, we'll get in there, we'll do some nice detail when we do the brown of her dress. But let's make sure and get her thumb in here. There we go. Awesome. Mitts. They're like little mitts. Little mittens. Narrower wrist. Widening up. To her elbow. Excellent. And then let's come on up here to the sleeve. There. And fill in that arm. Excellent. We're looking more and more like two Fridas. Loving it. Super happy. Okay, so let's pick up a little bit of that darker. And I'm just picking it up, see, right here on my same brush. Let's try to go in back over to the European Frida because she's a little drier and put some highlights in. So definitely along her chin line. Actually, I'm going to one of my small brushes. Here we go. My little teeny brush. There. So she's got a little highlight under her chin. Get that blended in. And then her ear has got a little teeny bit of detail in there. Let's see. There we go. We're going to go in and we're going to put in her nose. Right on, right on. And then that little bit of a, that's underneath her lip. We're also going to put in where her eyes are. And then we're going to go through with white and black detail in there. Okay. I want to get that chin blended just a little bit. So I just cleaned off my brush a bit. There we go. This nose blended a little bit. Nice. I'm just doing a little bit of blending. There we go. There's the gist of the one. Okay, let's go along the arm here of the European. Actually, I want to put that little line back in there. Okay, sorry. She looks sad. She's sad. She went through, oh man, so much stuff. It wasn't even, let me see what, polio. She contracted polio at 16. She was born in 1907, died in 1954. She was only 47 years old. Yep. And so she got polio at 6, and then in 1925, she got into this horrific bus accident. Okay, let's go and get some dark lines. Let's get these hands done. Hands can be sometimes scary, but you know what? Don't let it be. I just outlined it, going through, getting my brush wet, wiping it off just a little bit, and then blending that so it doesn't look like just a straight dark line. Doing that with the top. It's almost, acrylics are almost like watercolor. Kind of cool like that. You can really add water and get some stuff blended. So I'm going to go in and get some details of the fingers. And let's see. Ever so very lightly. We're going to get those fingers drawn in there. One, two. Four fingers. Ah. All right. And again, to blend it, we're going to get our brush wet. I'm going to wipe it off a little bit. Just get in there and kind of soften those lines. Blend them. Good. All right, see, maybe I need a little bit of darker around the bottom here. And a little bit. I'm going to get rid of some of that hand that I've got going on there when I do the dress. There we go. Okay, let's get that blended just a little teeny bit. And move on to the next hand. Sweet. Okay. Pick up some of that darker. Let's see. Looks to me like I need to put a little bit more of the lighter down first because my sky is shining through. There we go. So, seeing as how I just touched that up, I'm going to wait a minute to do that part. And I'm going to come on over here to Mexican Frida and work on her face a little bit. So we're trying to do the exact same thing that we did over here. Let's start by highlighting her chin. On up here to her ear. And then her ear detail. She has some dark shadows coming down her neck. All right, let's go. Get our brush wet. Let's get this blended. Soften those lines a bit. There we go. Ears and hands. They're challenging. Definitely challenging. Okay, so we've got some nice shadowing in the neck, in the bottom of the chin. And now let's go in and let's get her nose in there. Oh boy. There we are. Just got a little dark right there. Excellent. Get her eyes in there. I think that one of my favorite parts of painting the miniature masterpiece of the two Fridas was doing the eyebrows. Nice. Okay, let's get that blended. Soften things up. Ooh, that was a big drip. Acrylic likes water, but it likes to be dripping, or not dripping. It likes to be damp, but not dripping. Okay, I want to get a little teeny more detail on this nose right here. There we go. All right, I'm feeling good about that. I think I might do a little tiny bit of highlight along here. Great. And then let's start moving down this arm. Just going down the arm, and then there's it's a little darker through here. That's the elbow pit. I don't know what that is called. The elbow pit? Yeah. So yeah, doing a little outline. It's a little darker through the elbow pit. And let's get that blended. Got my brush wet. Little damp. Not soaking. See a drip. Let's get that just blended. Soften the edges. Nice. Good. Get as fine of a tip as you can on your brush, because we're going to go in and work on those hands now. So, little teeny, let's get that little bit of a thumb there. Yeah. Let's get that arm of European Frida. Just go along there, go along the bottom of her arm, top of her arm, top of her arm. We can bring all the way over to finish off at that hand. At the bottom, make sure you stop, because Mexican Frida's little fingers are wrapping around. Okay, let's get those fingers in there. Oh boy, joy. Here we go. Don't want too many. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you feel like you made too big of a mark, you can always go back through with your lighter and fix that. There's those fingers. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can see 4 fingers on European Frida. 1, 2, 3, 4. Coming up here. Okay. I'm gonna wipe my brush off because the tip is just not as fine as I'd like. There we go. That's better. 2. Good. And blending. Picking up a little bit of paint. If your paint is dry, you can just kind of pick up a little paint and a little bit of water. There we go. Soften those fingers so they're not so crazy. Oh, that's a little more dark. Yeah. Occasionally, it's really a good idea to step back and take a look at what you've been doing too. Okay, I'm gonna move over here to Mexican Frida's arm. That thumb is looking like Uma Thurman in Kill Bill. Everyone saw that reference. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little fingers. Hasn't changed. I don't know why I have to keep counting, but you never can tell. So 4 fingers. Let's get them in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa, that looks like the Wolverine claw or something. So fear not, I'll fix that. And if I don't, then it's just meant to be. Okay, let's get in there and soften it up. There we go. Soften that baby up a little bit. Whoa, crazy times. I go in with some of my lighter skin tone. Kind of lost my fingers there with all that blending. So I'm just gonna go through, highlight those fingers a bit. There we go. Nice. Nice. Okay. Looks a little better. It is big, and so I'm gonna trim that hand down when I go in and do the dress. But I'm feeling really good about it. So I'm gonna just kind of step back, go, Okay, what else do I need to do? I need to bring a little bit of this skin tone up in Frida's forehead because the blue is shining through. I'm bringing some light highlights into her face. Yeah. Good. Okay, so now we're going to start working on the outfits, the dresses, the bunch, and then we're going to do the hearts and the detail of the faces, and we're going to have 2 Fridas. So here we go. Let's start with Mexican Frida's brown dress. I'm going to pick up my medium flat. There's some brown over there. I'm going to add just to make it a little different of a color. I'm going to add a little bit of the black to my brown. And there are light and dark highlights on her dress. So, I've definitely, there's my dark for my dark highlights. I like that. Okay, so now that I have that, I'm going to put some white down, bring some of that color over to the white, and mix that until I come up with my lighter brown. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull out some of that burnt umber so that we can have a little bit different brown. Another thing, if you don't have another version of brown, like I have burnt umber here, you can always mix up some browns by mixing the opposite color on the color wheel. So purple and yellows or oranges. Purple and orange actually makes burnt sienna. Anyway, I'm gonna bring some of that brown over. I'm just gonna mix up a different color brown. My own color brown. Kinslow brown. Whatever your name is, it'll be your color brown. Alright. There it is. So, let's get going on this. The brown part, you want to make sure this is a nice swoopy line here. So, it doesn't have to be exact. You want it to be swoopy, like so. And then let's just get this whole area filled in with that brown. You are going to want to break out with a small brush when we get around her fingers. But for now, I'm using the big brush so that I can get a lot of coverage. And then I'll go in and do some detail. Her skirt comes to about right here, and it is also swoopy. There's that. I'm just going to finish filling in this section here and then move to my small brush. This is when you can fix that arm if it was too big. Okay, so switching to a smaller brush. Get in there and get those details done. Make that thumb not so huge. So yeah, just taking a look at what her midriff looks like. We're in the right spot. go. Right here is where that little portrait of Diego Rivera was going to be. And I don't know why I broke out with my Italian accent there. That was weird. Anyway, yeah, this painting was done after her and Diego split up. And yeah, just holding on. I thought forever it was like a little nut, but you know, it's a portrait. Of Diego. So my paintbrush is getting pretty darn thick with paint, so don't forget your water. Water is your friend. Really help you smooth out that paint. Makes it yummy and a little more malleable. You know, moves where you want it to move a little more. I keep putting my arm in this blue paint. If I don't stop that soon, I'm gonna drive myself crazy. All right. There we go. Just want a little more detail. Just a little more. A little more differentiation on that. Those fingers. Get some fingernails on there too. That'll help. All right, good. So there's that brown. So let's get the highlights in and the dark lights, the darks and the lights. When mixing that brown, I have some white there. So I'm gonna bring, it comes on down here to the knee, a little bit there, and then it comes over to the other knee. So a little highlight there. And then you've got some little, this actually goes all the way up to the top, little highlights through here and along here. Okay, those are my highlights. What are we gonna do? We're going to take our brush now, our wet brush, and we go through. We're going to blend it. This is pretty light all the way up along here. Just down off the knee. We're going to go through with darker lights too. Highlights and lowlights. Highlights and lowlights? Is that the word I'm looking for? I think so. I'm just, every now and again, I'm just going to bring some down through here. Give it a little dimension. There we go. Okay, let's go through with some of those dark lights. Here. here. Darker. Here. Oh no, here. Darker. All around there. Darker. Okay. Let's get it blended. I'm gonna go to my medium flat. Just get it blended in there. Nice. Wipe it off every now and again. There around those fingers. There we go. Yeah, and just do the best you can. That's all you can do, right? You're not Frida Kahlo. You are who you are. And as long as you're enjoying yourself during your painting process, and that's what's important, right? So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Maybe a little more dark just to show that knee. You can always come back, do some more. Okay, feeling pretty good about that. I think her skirt might have a little more orange undertones to it. And I suppose I could pick up a little bit of orange and see what happens. Well, isn't that interesting? Make sure that's blended real good. All right. Well, that was fun. Experimenting with orange. All right. Good enough for me. There's that skirt. Okie dokie. I'm gonna get her blue blouse put in now. So we just have our blue. You might still have a little blue on your palette. I have a little bit of blue, and then I was gonna add a little bit of this aquamarine blue for her highlights. Hasn't even been opened yet. Love me some fresh paint. There we go. Little bit of that ultramarine. Sweet. Okay, so I'm mixing that ultramarine with my blue just a little bit, just to make it my own color. I really have a problem with just using the color straight out of the tube. I don't know. Okay, this brush is way too big. So let's pick a smaller brush. Cleaned off. We're going with a brand new color. Let's get that dress outlined. She's got the little corners of her sleeves here. I think that's a ribbon of some sort wrapped around her. And it's definitely some kind of traditional Mexican attire. So there's there. And then here, coming down, pronunciating the breast area a little bit, on down to about here. And you've got another orange ribbon. Comes across. And then up and over. Another little cap to her sleeve. And that part of her dress actually comes down to her elbow pit. And then she has the bottom part of her blouse. Awesome. Let's get that painted in. And we'll be painting the heart over this as well. But for now, let's get her dressed. Awesome. You're going to see your brush strokes. You may not. No. But again, we'll go through and do a second coat on that. Also, some of the highlights we'll cover it as well. So there's the gist of her shirt right there. Let's move over and get the other Frida's, European Frida, her outfit painted in. It's white. It's white. Why do we have to paint it in? Because canvas loves paint. So, we got some white. Start by painting it white. The whole darn thing is white. And then there's lots of little detail and highlights. So let's get it painted white. And let's get the detail around her hands. And then we'll go from there. So just start picking up paint. Make sure that when you do the bottom here, that you make it a little bit wiggly, as it is the bottom ruffle of her dress. And while you're at it, you can also paint white on the ruffle of the Mexican Frida's dress. It's dirty, dingy, tan, but we'll start with white. And that's got a lot of wiggle on the bottom, a lot of ruffle. Okay. Just get that all painted. Can I move to a smaller brush if you so desire? All right, here we go. Back to European Frida. I'll do a little detail around that hand, not with the big brush. There we go. Excellent. Okay. I am officially switching over to a smaller brush. Smaller flat brush. Get it nice and clean because we're working with white. I have picked up a little bit of this or that, some color along the way, and that's okay because it's not like totally pure white. Okay, so I'm getting some details in here, so I wanted a smaller brush. We're gonna get the poof of her sleeve. There's a couple sets of ruffles. 1, 2, 3, 4 sets of ruffles up to her sleeve. Just get that all painted in white. Go in and do the details in a minute. And then her dress does not look very comfortable. It's a turtleneck from hell, really. I'm going to go in with even a smaller brush. And her sleeve. It's all the way over and out. And a little bit of that ruffle. There we go. Let's look at that neck. Shoulder needs to come up a little bit more. There we go. Excellent. Okay. And I am seconds from getting a smaller brush. Even smaller, clean it off. And she's got this collar. I mean, geez. Tell me that looks comfortable. Ooh. No thanks. What would you wear? Outfit number 1 or outfit number 2? I think I'd go with outfit number 2. Don't you think? Okay. And down around the hands. There's this little teeny bit of a white spot in there. And I'm gonna get it there. So there's just this little bit of a white spot right here. See that? And there we go. Okay, so now we got all of our white on here. We're gonna let this dry a little bit before we move on to the next step. We'll do more detail in the dress and more detail on both European and Mexican Frida on their outfits. And we'll get their hearts in there, the bunch, all the little details. Believe it or not, we're close to being done. So I'm gonna let things dry. You can let things dry, grab a drink, grab a snack, and I'll meet you back here in however long it takes. All right, here we go. Things should be a little drier by now. We're gonna do a lot of detail at this point. So I have a super fine brush that I found that I wanted to use. The first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go through and put some of those highlights in on Mexican Frida's shirt. So we're going to mix a little bit of blue into some white. And we're gonna come along. She's got a little tiny bit of highlight on here, a little bit through here, highlighting her breast, all through there, a little lighter. And you've got all these little creases. You're going to want to go through and do some back and forth along here, along the bottom. Over on this side, a little lighter, little highlight. Now we're going to get that blended in there. So get your brush wet. Let's get this blended. And just get some highlights in there so it doesn't look like she's wearing a flat blouse. So if you're going to categorize Frida, if you're going to categorize her type of art, you'd call it surrealism. It's a mixture of realism and fantasy. A lot of her imagery comes from her life and how painful her life was. My goodness, I think it was 143 paintings out of the 143 paintings that she painted. There were 55 that were self-portraits. And I've painted a couple self-portraits in different styles of, like, I did a self-portrait in the style of Frida, and Picasso, and Gustav Klimt. And it's quite challenging to paint self-portraits because you kind of see yourself a little differently than what others see you. And let's be honest, who really wants a self-portrait of Chrissy Kinslow? You know, I mean, yeah, lots of people want portraits of Frida Kahlo now, which, by the way, she didn't even gain popularity. She had shows and whatnot, but she didn't gain popularity until the 1970s. Before that, she was known as Diego Rivera's wife. So, you know, with feminism, and she's also outright lesbian, bisexual, and so she's super popular with the LGBT community, and with the Chicano community, and she's just became super iconic in the 1970s. But before that, yeah, Diego's wife, which Diego was a womanizer. He was a bit of a turd. It's hard not to be, you know, it's hard not to be biased when, yeah, such crappy things. It's a really good movie about Frida with Selma Hayek in it. I enjoyed it. It was good. Okay, I'm feeling great about the highlights. I could go through and do more and more and more, but I feel really good about that. Now, let's go down to the bottom of her skirt, and let's finish Mexican Frida the skirt off, and then go up and do the orange, and then she'll be pretty much ready. So I'm picking up some of that brown that we had used earlier, and just going to bring some strokes. Strokes, lots of strokes. Back and forth, up and down. Some of my strokes have lots of paint on it, some of my strokes do not. And I'm going to go through and do some blending as well on that, because this whole bottom of her skirt it's a little dirty. So we're going to let that dry just a tiny bit. While that's drying, let's get our paintbrush clean. And let's go and pick up our orange. We want to make a lighter orange and a darker orange. So I'm going to bring just a teeny bit of orange over to my white and mix up a nice, yummy, light, I'm almost going to say creamsicle orange. Feeling good about that. There it is. So I'm going to go through and get these bands on here. And to be honest with you, that brush is too big for me. So I'm going to switch over to a smaller brush. Pick up that orange. If you ever think that your water's getting dirty, you can clean it out, rinse it out, give yourself some clean water. But sometimes I like to use my dirty water because it kind of dirties my paint a little bit. So let's get that orange in there. Brush tip. When I work in miniature, my brushes that I use are so tiny. There we go. These are a little bigger. There's also an orange band all the way. I'm feeling like that's looking really close to her skin tone. I'll pick up just a little bit more orange in there. It is very close to her skin tone. A nice little band around her neck. Sweet. Pick up a little more of that orange. Let's do the best you can. That's all you can do. I'm having fun. Frida, on her very last show. So her very last show was it's a first show. Her first solo show and her very last show was in 1953. And she passed in 1954. So she was bedridden. She had her bed brought to the gallery and set up, a 4-post bed. And she had the ambulance take her to the exhibit. And then she was gurneyed in and did her whole show from her bed in the gallery. That's pretty cool. I mean, we all have things going on, different hardships, different pains, different struggles. Whenever I feel like my struggle is more than anyone else's, I look at Frida. She went through a lot, and she still painted. And so, yeah. Okay, I'm going to go through with some pure orange just to give a little highlight to those bands. Just a little bit here and there. Bring it out, make it pop. Everyone has their own brush stroke. Vincent van Gogh, you can really see his brush stroke. I mean, it's clear as day, his brush stroke. Oh, Frida has her own brush stroke. You have your own brush stroke. I have my own brush stroke. And so, you know, during these videos, we're emulating famous artists, but we're learning how to embrace our own brush stroke as well. So, there's that. I've gone to my flat brush, and I'm going to go to the bottom of the skirt. I'm going to maybe pick up just a tiny, teeny bit of that brown. Bring it up through there. Just a little bit. Ooh, like that was a little much. Get that paintbrush nice and clean. Move that paint around. There we go. Just kind of dirtying up the bottom of that skirt. Good stuff. Excellent. I'm feeling really good about Mexican Frida. So now I'm going to move over and do the details of European Frida's dress. So going to my little brush, I'm going to mix up a really light blue, and you might still have a light blue, but I'm going to mix it super light. Very, very, very light. Very light blue. Indeed. Just like a freckle of blue. A very tiny freckle. And a whole lot of white. There's my blue, right? Okay. So I'm going to do a little outline along where her skirt bottom is. Her skirt ruffle. And keep it kind of wiggling along there, like so. There's a few little spots here and there. There we go. And then get some lines drawn down to represent the ruffle. A little bit of blue over there, a little bit over here. Get that blended in real nice. Nice along here. You could go through with just some white and go over that area. There we go. Let's get this area right here highlighted where this part of the ruffle goes over the other ruffle. There we go. Looks good. Sweet. Okay, now we're gonna make like a dirty white. And you're gonna do that by adding a little bit of brown to some white and a little bit of black, making like a really super light gray with brown in it. I seem to have just picked up a little bit of orange. Let's see what happens there. I'm really liking it. Okay. It's just super light gray, dirty kind of gray. And I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna pick out my super fine brush right now. We're gonna just do a little highlighting of her top. So coming over here, her bodice runs about like that. Make sure you give it a little wiggle. There we are. And I'm liking that color too. Over here, we have an open part of her dress. It's a little bow action. We'll go back over that with some white too. Strings going down. Awesome. And then there's like this collar, neck collar amongst the turtleneck from hell. There it is. And this is all ruffly Let's get some ruffle in here. Little ruffle. And sleeve comes over jaggedy ruffle. It's lace. It's a lace bodice. Like so. And then this first set of ruffles comes along. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Second one. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Pick up a little more paint. Third set of ruffles. Yep. And then the final part of her sleeve. Wraps around like that. Like so. Excellent. Good. Let's do the other sleeve. So, here's the shoulder part. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Down to her bodice. Like so. And then we've got our ruffles. 1, 2, 3. I'm very much interested in seeing everyone's paintings as well. So when you finish your 2 Fridas, please post and share. I'm very excited. It's one of my favorite things about doing live paint parties is at the very end, you know, you hear everybody moaning and groaning during the party. Oh, and then at the end, everyone is just so happy with their paintings. I love it. It's my favorite part. All right, let's get a little bit of marks down in here in her dress. Like so. It's a little like that. Like so. A little dirty there. A little like that. A little bit over here. Highlighting these lines down here just a teeny bit. Just a little bit. Every now and again. There we go. Sweet. And then we're going to go through. Oh, yep. Take that brush. I'm going to need it. Stay right there. Okay, now I'm going to go through and dirty that up a little bit. Pick up just a little bit of paint to help you dirty things up. Go. Someone's hot rodding in the neighborhood. Okay. That brighter, that color's a little bit on the brighter side. There we go. Yeah, someone is definitely hot rodding. Go. Getting it a little dirtied up a little. Oh, we could go through and do some crazy details through here. Could. We really could. But we're not going to. Oh, you can. But for now, we're just going to give it some details by just adding some little specks. Little specks will make it look a little more detailed without going totally crazy. So that's very clear through there, and I actually need to do another set of lines, but I'm just picking up some of that gray, brown, orange stuff that I mixed up, and I'm pouncing it on here. Little dots to make it look as though it's lace. It's looking kind of lacy, yeah? There's also a little bit of dark, a little darker through here. Darker through here. Yeah. Trying to soften these lines a little bit. If they dried too much, just bring in a little paint. See that? Just brought in a little bit of paint. That drip, we don't want that drip. Get your fingers in there every now and again. All right. Kind of want just a little bit of, maybe what I'm looking for is a darker color. I'm going a little more brown to some of my gray. Just make it a little darker. Go through and pounce through here a little bit more. There we go. Oh, we forgot about up here. Turtleneck from hell. I'm sorry, but that just really does not look all that comfortable. Yeah, I'm going to go through some white. All right. Forget with that awesome little brush again. And there is a second line in her dress. So I'm going to get that painted in there. Is my head in the way? Probably. It's all about just certain details. You don't have to have all the details in there, but it's just certain details, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Take a little bit of that darker. Just to highlight. I'm going to grab a smidgelin of black. Smidgelin. And I mean the tiniest amount. You be very careful. Very careful. And you can get your brush a little wet. Pick up a little tiny bit of that black. Right. And just gonna highlight a little bit. Ooh. See, I picked up a little more than I thought, so I better balance it out over there. Just bring a little bit of highlights. Out here and there. Yeah, that's good. A little bit along here. And a little bit over here. Okay. Good stuff. For sure. There. Something at the bottom of that sleeve. And okay. So both of my Fridas are now dressed. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Now we're going to go through and we're going to do a little bit of the detail, all the little details. Huh. So here we go. I have black on my little brush already. So I'm going to go through and put the, I thought they were scissors, but they're forceps. So I'm going to get those in here. You want to use a very small amount of paint and get a little teeny one circle here. There we go. Be very careful. You don't want to end up with a hacksaw. Little teeny bit. Get that other circle oval. There we go. There we are. Great. Okay. And right through the tips of her fingers too. Like that. Like so. Great. There they are. There's that little detail. And let's go over and put the little Diego portrait in. Not that he deserves it. It's just a little circle. Like that. We'll start with that. Okay. Pick up a little bit of your light brown. And let's fill that area in with some brown for now. We'll try to get a little Diego in there. Ha! Okay. There we go. Looking good, feeling good. I feel as though we need to get some red out now for the highlights of European Frida's dress and start getting the hearts down and all of that, all those shenanigans. We also can't forget to throw in that bench. So let's get the bench too. I knew I was gonna forget the bench. All right, well, I got my red out. Let's get that bench on there. I have my medium flat brush and I'm gonna make a really dark brown. So I'm gonna bring black over to my existing brown. I don't need that much, but I want it to be the darkest brown that we have. I need some fresh black. Messy girl today. All right, get a nice dark. Hey, that's pretty dark. We're gonna do just the bench part right here, the leg. So it's just a rectangle that you're gonna come down, and then you're also gonna come over. And the rest is like wicker. So get that in there. I'm gonna get a smaller brush. So I can come down here. There we go. Right along her dress. Excellent. I'll make the top of this just a little bit more pronounced. There we go. Maybe. Okay, I'm going to get in here. There we go. Okay. And then for the seat part, we're going to make a little, I'm sure that somewhere on here we've got a brown. It's the perfect brown. But I'm going to take some of that light brown from down here and add a little bit of orange to it. Could even take a little bit of yellow. I don't think so. I think this is good. And it's a brown that I haven't used yet. So let's get in here and get the wicker part of the bench done. Don't get it on her skirt. There we go. And I am going to break out with a smaller brush. I'm flicking my brushes everywhere. Keep coming along here. Nice and tight. And then back through here is also bench. So comes just under the hands. There we go. Gotta get that bench in there. It's like the dog under the table in The Three Musicians by Pablo Picasso. It always disappears on me. I'll forget about it. Forget about it. All right. Need a little bit of texture in there to show that that's wicker. So I'm picking up a lighter brown that's sitting there on my palette and just bringing it through. Different directions for the different ways that the wickers go in. Does not have to be perfect. As long as you're having fun. I'm having fun. Then we're all good. We are all good. Some lines in here. There we go. I feel great about that bench. And now we're going to move on, like I said, to the red. Oh, I lost my special brush. Somewhere in there. Oh, that's it. Okay. Here we go. Let's get the hearts on. My heart is not going to be perfect, but I'm going to do the best I can. Picking up my red. Boop. I'm coming over here to Mexican Frida. And I'm getting her open heart, wounded. Go through with our little brush and do all the little details. But for now, we're just getting the basic shape of the heart on here. Yeah. Go. Be a little bit bigger. Okay. There's one heart. Let's go over here to this heart. Shaped like a teardrop. Yep. All right. And that's got a lighter kind of open wound around there, and we'll get to that. But let's bring some of that blood down through here and here. And then while we're on it, she has some sort of little cherry blossoms on her dress. Just little dots of 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Just got some down and through here too. Right? And then we'll do some other little flicks through there too. But let's move over to our super fine brush. Get some of the veins and whatnot. You have a ventricle. I don't know. I really don't know. Got this little lines. There's 4 of them. Fine lines coming down to there. And you've got this guy coming over here like that. You got this one coming up from behind. And if yours is not exactly like this, or exactly like Frida's, no 2 hearts are the same. Everyone, no 2 hearts are the same. So just do the best you can. And we'll go through with a darker shade of red to put in even more highlights. We've got the vein going, is it a vein? Going around her arm as well. So let's get that in there. Let's make sure our paintbrush is super fine. Get it wet. Clean it off. All right. A little bit there. And there. And there. Good. Sweet. Let's connect the 2. Shall we? Coming over here from the turtleneck. let's just connect them. There we are. Got a little wide there, but that's okay. And oh, got an orange spot in the sky. Have to do something about that. And come on down. There we are. We're connected. Lovely. Okay, now this wraps around her neck and connects to over here. So let's try that. Come around. Like so. Good. Let's get some detail in this heart. So this comes up to top of the turtleneck. The turtleneck. Over. And yeah. She also has this cord going from in back here around her shoulder. I think that's where it's coming from. And down here through her arm, around here, through the tip of her scissors, or whatever they are. Ooh, shaky hand. Unlace it all the way through, little bit. Hair. Great. So we've got all that done. Now let's get a little bit of black, teeny tiny bitsy piece, and just put in a little bit of details in this heart. Get the lines in there, and then we'll get it blended. Teeny bit over here. And then there's all kinds of stuff going over here. I'm not too sure. It's like there's almost bones or something showing. So we'll do the best we can. We'll get that in there. Let's get that blended. All right. Sweet. I mean, really need to do that much detail to the heart. Feeling good about that, though. And so now I'm going to come over here and I'm going to try to emulate what is happening, which is a really good question. We've got kind of this thing going on with little weird circle dots, bones. I swear that's what they look like. I'm gonna go through like that. Okay, let's take a little bit of orange and mix it in with some red, just to give it a little off from red color. We're gonna do this kind of around the heart area. Okay, so I want it to be a little lighter. There we go. Let's see what happens here. That's good. And then it's kind of like dripping, like an open wound. That is an open wound, I think. So, yeah, that's looking good. A little bit of the orange in there. Bit of the brown. Dirty water. See, you gotta love that dirty water. Comes in handy every now and again. Just doing a little bit of highlights here and there, and then, yeah, something needs to happen over here. Some of that in there. There we go. That's pretty good. Get the gist of it, I believe. Yeah. Nice. Get a little bit of that down in here. In here. Kind of wash it out. Ooh. Dirty water. There we go. All right. All right. Let's get a little bit of that orange. Do some dot work down through here. Some little mark making. And here, a little bit of mark making. I think they're the leaves of the cherry blossoms, but I'm not sure. Little X's. There we go. Great. All right. We are getting super, super close here. Let's move on to Frida's face. Oh, wait. Before we move on to Frida's face, let's do a quick little dude. Little Diego. There's his little face. Here's his little hair. All right. Beady little eyes. Little eyes. And a mischievous smile. Oh. Something like that. Okay. Let's dot those eyes. I'm gonna move in real quick. Ha! There he is. Okay. Now let's move on to Frida. Let's white her eyes. Not much. Great. Let's pick up some red and do her mouth. Don't want to go too big. You can draw a little line and then just kind of go off of it a little bit. Fan it out a little bit. You don't want to go too big. There. Maybe a little bit bigger. There we go. Get yourself a chin there, Frida. Yeah, well. That's my fault. another Frida in there. Somehow this one looks like she's smiling. I don't know why. But they're not supposed to be smiling. All right. Ready? Let's do the hair and the unibrows. So hair actually scoops around that ear. And then it's nice and big. And a little bit of receding. Nice high forehead. There we go. Sweet. Let's get her hair painted in. Jet black. Now that we're doing the hair, I can tell you my joke. You know you're an artist when you buy expensive brushes and have nothing to do your hair with. Ba-dum-pum. Oh, just keep doing her hair there. Kinslow? There's a reason you're not a comedian, sister. Okay. Hair number 1. Yeehaw. Hair number 2. She's got a little bit of a, what do you call that on a guy? Sideburn. A little bit of a sideburn action. Here we go. Don't be scared. Whatever hairdo your Frida has, oh, how fun would it be to do like some ponytails or pigtails? That'd be fun. Super fun. All right, we're getting close, everyone. Very, very close. A little more out here this way. Okay. Let's get those eyes in there. There. And there. I don't know where she's looking. It's kind of crazy. Where are you looking? Oh, that's wild. Really wild. Let's get the eyebrows in. You guys look like me when I was going through my chemo. Here we go. Let's get here. It's just like a little bird, everyone. Love it. The other one. Okay. Yeah, feeling really good about that. I'm gonna clean off my brushes pretty darn good. And I kind of have to put in a little bit of a mustache if I can. Just ever so lightly. Oh. All right. So, there we have it. 2 Fridas. Ta-da! Oh, gotta sign it. Always gotta sign it. So, if you enjoyed yourself, you may have painted along, you might have just watched. Please subscribe. Please like. Please share. Please subscribe. Doesn't cost a thing to subscribe. If there's a particular painting that you'd like to see me do, comment. Let me know. I'll do it. And what else am I forgetting? If you really liked it, you can visit my tip jar. I look forward to next month. Next month, the theme is America. And we've got Jasper Johns on the plate. We've got Andy Warhol coming up. And we also have American Gothic. So get ready for that. Meanwhile, 2 Fridas.